Welcome back to the Mountain Medical YouTube channel. Thanks for hanging out. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about resource management. In an emergency, you don't have everything that you need, so we need to make sure that we stretch our supplies as far as that they'll go. You might have a lot of casualties that need help, or you might just have one casualty with a lot of very severe wounds that you need to take care of. And we have limited amounts of supplies as civilian medics and first responders. So here are some things that can kind of help to increase the longevity of your supplies and the usefulness of your trauma kit so that you're managing your resources properly in an emergency situation. All right, before we get into this video, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit a like and subscribe. That's a free and easy way to support me here at the channel. If you need a trauma kit, head over to mountainmanmedical.com, check out our Yellowstone and Wind River trauma kits. And let's get into this video. All right, so part of being a good medic is understanding resource management. All medics, especially when you're in an emergency situation, you don't have everything that you need to come out on top. You're going to be at a deficit at some point, especially since you're caught off guard so much, right? Emergencies, they're not usually foreseeable. Emergencies happen when you least expect them, and so you might be caught off guard. So how do we manage the situation appropriately? How do we come out on top and manage all of our resources so that we are applying good medical care to as many different people or to as many different injuries as possible and making that good difference for somebody else? All right, the first thing that you're going to want to do is call 911, activate EMS. That is a very important. You need more people who are highly skilled with more gear. You need as much help as possible, and that's the quickest way that you can do that. The other thing that we need to do is get that casualty transported to the operating room so that the surgeon can save them, right? As medics, we aren't saving anybody's life. We are just keeping them alive long enough so that they can get to the OR so a surgeon can save their life. So what we need to do is we need to get an ambulance there as quick as possible to take them to that operating room so as quickly as possible so that they can get helped. So first thing you're going to do is activate EMS, get law enforcement there with more tourniquets and more help. That's going to be the most beneficial thing that you can do. Now, the other thing that we're going to want to do, the second thing on our list, is to look around us and see what kind of gear we have available to us that can make this situation better. Do you have a reflective vest just sitting in your car with a hard hat and eye protection? Do we have road flares that we can put out so that we are increasing visibility and making the scene safer for both us and our casualty? If we don't have those items available or we run out of those items, are there any bystanders nearby who are willing to help who have those items? Start asking around and getting that coordinated, and that could be a beneficial way and something that can kind of increase your resources. Utilizing bystanders is something that you should be considering at all times. Can that bystander do something that will help you to do something else? So they might not have the skills or gear required to help somebody, but there might be something else that they can do, like direct traffic and make the scene safer for you. Maybe you're applying a tourniquet on one leg and then you need someone to apply direct pressure on an arm. That's a perfect opportunity to get your bystanders who are just hanging out there and looking into the action. Get them to help. A lot of times they'll be so stunned by what's happened that they won't be thinking about helping you. And you telling them, giving them a job to do is important because it takes one less thing for you to worry about. If you're less worried about cars coming and hitting you, then you can do your job a little bit better. So utilizing the bystanders around you, what kind of resources and help that they might be able to give you in the situation, don't forget to use them. The other thing we need to start thinking about is what kind of gear do we have available to us? What have we prepared? This is where you're going to have road flares, maybe a blanket, a sleeping bag, a way to keep warm in a bad situation for hypothermia. Do we have anything that we can stock in our vehicles as we're traveling to and from places that will be beneficial to us in an emergency? I kind of like to see my own personal vehicle as my emergency response vehicle. If I'm going to try to help somebody, what are some of the items that I might need? And I'll throw those items in my truck just so I have those available. So prepping ahead of time with the gear that you need, like trauma gear, is important because it's difficult to reproduce that on the spot in an emergency situation when time is of essence. We don't have a lot of time. We need to do the most we can right now, and having gear available helps us to reduce the time required to help somebody. So trauma gear, definitely one of those items that you need to prep. Of course, I'm biased, I'm going to say that, but it's important. You need trauma gear. Trauma gear is great, of course, but if you don't know how to use it, it's not going to do you any good. Getting skills is important. Skills are weightless. All you can do is just add those to your toolbox so that when a bad situation does arrive, you already know what you're going to do. You already have a plan in place. You've already been through this. You already have the skills necessary to take care of this situation. So training is absolutely important. We have the emergency trauma response course on mountainmanmedical.com. Just click the training tab. It's 100% free. Takes about an hour and 45 minutes. Go over to mountainmanmedical.com. Check that out. That'll help you out quite a bit. The next thing that you're going to need to know is what kind of items in your trauma kit can be used as multi-use items. Things that are going to extend the life of your kit are things that can be used on multiple types of wounds. Tourniquets are great. A lot of people will just buy tourniquets and think that they're prepared for a traumatic situation. If we can carry more items that are useful on more types of injuries, then that helps to extend the resources that we have available in our trauma kit. For example, it's important to always have a tourniquet. This is the Soft T from TacMed Solutions. You should absolutely have one, but this only works on your arms and legs. If you take a wound anywhere else on your body, then you will need to be able to take care of that. Tourniquets only work on arms and legs, so we need to have other types of gear. Having things like ACE wraps or elastic bandages is the generic term. This will help to create a new pressure dressing. If you have an injury, you wound pack it and you need an extra one, you can use it for that, or for any sports injuries. It's a multi-use item, helps out quite a bit. One of the things that you might not realize is how chest seals can be used as a multi-use item. If you need to secure something and you need a sticky piece of tape to do that and you don't have it, you can utilize your chest seals. As long as you're not worried about there being penetrating trauma to the chest, you've already inspected the casualty, you know that they don't need a chest seal, then that's where you can use your chest seals as one of those multi-use items. So if you need to pack a wound and you need something to keep that wound packing in place, this might be an excellent way to do that. So thinking outside of the box, understanding how your kit works and being prepared to use the items in it for wounds that it wouldn't normally need to treat. So these are examples of that. One other item that I'm always talking about, the SWAT T. This is one of those items that I have always talked about it being an excellent item for increasing the resources in your trauma kit. So all this is a long exercise band, and you can use this for a multitude of items. On top of that, if you need a backup tourniquet, this one will back up the CAT or the Soft T just fine and extend your resources again. So understanding the items that are in your kit and preparing for that ahead of time with multi-use items is going to be beneficial for you. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. Thanks for hanging out and checking on this video on how to extend your resources in an emergency situation. This is part of that mindset thing. This is where we start getting into the higher levels of thought process. We've already mastered things like bleeding control and penetrating trauma to the chest and those types of things. And now we're starting to get into the higher levels of thinking of what it means to take care of somebody in an emergency situation. If you have any thoughts on this, please feel free to drop them in a comment down below. Don't forget to hit a like and subscribe. That's a free way to support me here at the channel. Head over to mountainmanmedical.com. Check out our Yellowstone and Wind River trauma kits. Be ready for whatever the mountain throws at you. I'll catch you guys in the next one.